Hi everybody, welcome once again to Out of the Ordinary, Into the Extraordinary. I'm Robert Taylor coming to you on WMTV.
And I'm Pamela Hill Taylor, and as you know, we bring you guests who uplift, enlighten, inspire, educate, entertain.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah. We've got a great author on the show, and she writes books about angels and her experience with angels. She's been the author of 3 books so far. I'm sure there's more to come. In the very colorful life of Chantel Lysette. Welcome,
Hey.
welcome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having
being
me.
here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, you have a new book just come out. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Published by Llewellyn Press, is that
Yes,
correct?
Llewellyn, worldwide. Very
Yeah.
excited.
Whoa.
The big house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
And I'm sure you can get it on Amazon and all that
You
kind
can get
of
it
stuff.
in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, even your local bookstores here in the local area, Detroit area. The bookstores are carrying them, and it's doing really well. I'm really excited
Wow.
about it.
And do you do like ebook and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Kindle? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kindle, and I'm pretty sure you can get it on Nook as well.
And
Wow.
you're an author of the 21st century, so get it all those different kinds of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a choice.
Your
have to keep up with
your
keep up with the
messages
trend.
spread. Your messages spread.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
And I was taught that we have to speak to people in ways they understand, and in the digital age, if that's the way books are going to go,
Yeah, I don't know.
that's the way we have to communicate.
There's
Yeah.
nothing like a magic of a book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm reluctant. I have to confess I don't have a digital reader, and I probably won't for a long time. I still have vinyl albums, so you know,
Wow.
I'm
we
still
understand.
behind.
We understand. You have a Kindle, but you don't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
telling
It's
me.
just something about
Did
the
I do
feel
I
of
shouldn't
a
have done that, huh?
something about the feel of a book in your hands. And
Yeah.
Because
being
you can
able to
flip
dog
back
ear.
and forth,
Yeah.
and you can mark
Highlight.
it and highlight it, and it's not the same thing quite on a screen, is it?
But
you know,
searching is infinitely easier.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Searching through the book is easier digitally.
And your books have a very special feel. I think there's a spiritual feel to your books. Even when you look at the covers, fantastic.
I was going to
Whoever
show. They're
illustrated
showing
these.
you
Yes,
Ooh,
Llewellyn
a really
did
fun
an
one.
Incredibly good job with all of the covers. So kudos to the art department at Llewellyn for making me look good on
You know,
the shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just went through and showed your different covers here on the.
Yeah. Now, you were telling us the order of the books
Yes.
in the way of publishing, but your fans have been telling everybody that this last book is probably the first book you should read. Tell us about that.
Yes, I would just tell everybody to read the books in the order that they were written, which would be Azrael Loves Chocolate first, then The Angel Code, and Angelic Pathways, which just came out in August. But as I looked to my Facebook family, whom I love and adore, I have the best Earth Angel family in the world on Facebook. A lot of them have been telling people to read Angelic Pathways first to get to know me, because it's not just about angels, it's about how the angels weave into their daily lives. And I use my personal experience to illustrate what the angels do, how they work. And then after that, if you're still interested in the angels, the best way to get to know them is by going to Azrael Loves Chocolate, Michael Zajac, because that is dedicated to talking about angels and their personalities. And I think that's what surprises a lot of people, because everybody thinks the angels are sitting on a cloud and they're intangible, and why would an angel take time to talk to me? And when I tease people and say, you know, Michael loves pizza or hot wings, and he loves football, and Cassio loves techno music, or Sandalphon loves sweets, it humanizes the angels, and it makes it easier for us to relate to them and for them to relate to us. And so when we know that there's an angel out there that likes the same music as we do, Sandalphon loves the blues.
All
Michael
right.
loves
Oh, that's your angel.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Michael loves
That's my-
disco and
yeah.
rock and roll. And Gabriel is will forever be classical. I think it makes it easier for people to relate. And actually, there's a funny story that I love to tell about Gabriel and Michael having a disagreement on Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, because Gabriel takes pride in that and claims he inspired it.
All right.
And then Michael comes along in 1970s and does a fifth of Beethoven for Saturday Night Fever for the movie, and Gabriel's just pulling out his hair. It's like, you ruined it. So to hear two archangels duking it out and having Michael sitting back all cool and say, it's all right, bro. Trust me, they're going to love it, you know.
The way you're describing Michael sounds like Michael in the movie.
A little bit, a lot. I get that a
with
lot.
John Travolta.
John Travolta, yeah.
Not quite as almost to that point. Michael
quite
does
as raw.
love. Michael loves to dance. He loves music. He loves to have fun. He's heaven's prankster, the biggest prankster. He pulls pranks on the human souls as well as his angelic brothers. And but the thing about Michael is he is the prince of heaven. He is the master general of the angelic armies. He's known as the most beloved and the most beautiful angel. And so I can even say this about Michael. There is a part of him that is just a little bit, okay, maybe a lot, vain, you know, because he's so beautiful. I had an experience one time. I was talking to Archangel Sandalphon one night.
And lover of sweets.
Lover of sweets. And he's Michael's, he's kind of Michael's little brother. And Archangel Sandalphon is the angel of love. In fact, Cupid and Eros were based on the template of Sandalphon. And so I was talking to him one night, and he was sitting on the floor, and I had dozed off, and all of a sudden I heard screaming. And I sat straight up in bed, and when I heard it, I realized it was through my clairaudience. And I said, Sandalphon, what is that? And I'm thinking, did Uriel start Armageddon? Did it start? And Sandalphon just brushed it off. He said, no, Michael just ran through, and all the females saw him, and they're just chasing after him. You know, so he's like, so Michael's the rock star of heaven. With a lot of groupies,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
and he knows it, he loves it, and he makes everything fun. And it's when we think in terms of heaven, and when people pass on, they say rest in peace.
Yeah.
Not if Michael's around. It's one big party, and other angels are like that as well. So you get to know their personalities through Azrael Loves Chocolate, Michael's the Jock. And then if you want to learn to connect with them, the Angel Code's the book. That is the workbook. And when I say that word, that's where I lose my audience, because I've used that word, work. It's a workbook, it's a textbook, but I recommend it because I've worked with so many people and trying to get them to connect. And really, it's been trial and error for me as a teacher. And I've taken 20 years of experience of teaching and mentoring and meditation and all of my angel galleries, and compiled all of that into the Angel Code so people can figure out whether they're clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, and once they figure out what their gift is, they can take it and run and use that to connect with the angels.
So speaking about that, how did you first contact angels?
Well, I've always been in contact with the other side, a very thin veil, as we call it. Coming up as a kid, I lived in a very haunted house. I would say it's still haunted to this day. As a child, I saw ghosts all the time, and as I got older, I wanted to connect with them, because when you're a little kid, you're scared of them. But then you become a teenager and you're thinking, oh, this is cool. So you want to connect, and I got shut off. Because at that point, I wasn't allowing it to my intuition to grow organically. I was forcing it too hard. So I was shut out. And originally, I doubted a lot of what I endured during my childhood because I had run into a wonderful, wonderful man by the name of Dr. Charles Lysette, who studies phenomena and a little bit of the paranormal. And he came to me with asking about ghosts, and he studies orbs.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a little bit of a powwow because I told him, well, I have ghosts in my house. I see them all the time. And I saw them as a child. And now, at this time, I'm in college, so I'm seeing them again. And at that point, I was even connecting with a spirit guide. And he said, well, no ghosts ever appear full-bodied. He said, if you see a ghost full-bodied, chances are that photo's a fake. And I said, really? Come over to my house. And he did. And I was having a party, so he was kind of incognito. And I said, you have the whole house. Knock yourself out with your digital camera. Digital cameras were just the new thing then. And he captured several full-bodied ghosts in the house. And he went outside at night to take a picture of the front of my house, and my entire house looked like a Christmas tree. It was completely covered with orbs.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I said, I want those pictures when you go home. And I emailed him the next day, and he said, I hate to tell you, but my entire camera was erased.
Whoa.
I have none of
No
those
accident.
photographs.
Yeah.
Not an accident.
Yeah.
But I think that made him a believer. And in fact, I just saw him recently, and he said, yeah, my mind has been changed on that. So I loved working with him because he was the one that helped me to accept my gift as an intuitive.
So what was the first time an angel came to you? And how did the angels come to you?
Well, originally I started out with a spirit guide. And I think this may happen to a lot of other people because I didn't believe in angels at the time. I thought the same thing that everybody thinks. The angels are up there, they don't have time for me, and they're just doing whatever God wants them to do. And I'm just this little speck of dust, and they're pretty much ignoring me. So I was sent a spirit guide to work with.
Jake?
Jake.
Yeah,
I mentioned
that's a
him.
great story in there.
Poor Jake. You know, I put him through the ringer at first because when you start hearing voices, you go, okay, maybe it's time for me to check myself in.
That was your clairaudience.
Yeah, and when he started giving me predictions that came true, what can you do with that? You can only have so many coincidences. And so Jake was the lead-in for my first angelic encounter, which was Gabriel. And that was about 2002, 2003. And Gabriel came in and we locked horns instantly. There was no cooperation between the two of us. And I essentially didn't want the angels in my life because he came in very demanding, very commanding at first. Originally, he even appeared to me in female form. But I had just lost my mother. I had lost my spiritual mentor. And I was dealing in my way of dealing in mourning. I didn't want another female authority in my life at that time. So I just said, Gabriel, go. I'm not in the mood. And later that night, he came back, and I said, okay, we might be able to work on this because Gabriel's not hard on the eyes. And but then I realized how militant he was. And it came at a time where he wanted me to leave a job that was essentially killing me. It wasn't good for my health. I was overworking myself. And he got me to leave, but once I left, I had this revelation, no job equals no money. And so I started sending out resumes and sending out as many applications as possible, because at that point I was panicking about my savings. And Gabriel told me one night, the next job you get does not require a resume. And I gave him a few choice words, and he disappeared. And so I kept going about the grind of getting things out there. And a week later, I went to church, I had lunch, came home, and fell flat on my face. And I woke up 3 days later in the hospital. I had a stroke.
Wow.
And I
And
woke
you're
up,
a young woman.
yeah, I
you
was
were-
30.
Oh
I
my
had
gosh.
just turned 30. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and Gabriel was standing at the side of my bed, kind of leaning on the rails like this,
In the hospital.
in the hospital room. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I told you to stop looking, and I had to do what I had to do to get you to stop."
Wow.
And basically, it was the angel's way of saying, now that we've got your undivided attention. I was stuck in the hospital for 2 months.
Wow.
And I was angry, so I went through a lot of emotions of anger and feelings of God betrayed me. I was angry with God. I was angry with the angels. But time and time again, they just kept proving over and over that they were with me and that I could trust their guidance. And it's been a very long haul, but here I am.
Wow. So, but you've experienced all these amazing beings.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
isn't it somewhat overwhelming, even the aura of their presence?
At first it was, and now I just treat them like they're my big brothers and my big sisters. I will argue with Michael on any given day. And if it's something important, heaven knows not to say Michael, because chances are I will just go, Michael, I don't have time for you.
You'll be tuning them out.
But then they know there are certain angels that I will work with, and there are certain angels that I will not listen to. Michael, I know, is playful, so I can get away with pretending he's not there. But if Archangel Uriel shows up, it's, yes, sir, what can I do for you, sir? Right away, sir, just tell me to jump, and I will ask how high. Because I had an experience with Uriel that I write about in Angelic Pathways, where I was at the end of my rope with a situation.
You gave him an ultimatum.
I gave him a very nasty ultimatum, and not only he took my toys away, because my only connection to the outside world was my computer and my cell phone, and the computer went. Because I'm telling him, like, I'm not listening to you, Uriel, I can do whatever I want to. And the computer just went poof. It didn't blue screen, it didn't do anything, it just went black and shut down. And I was like, what is this? Turned it back on, shut back down again. And I knew it was Uriel, and I said, you know what, Uriel, I'm going to win this fight. I have a BlackBerry. And the next thing I know, my BlackBerry died. I said,
Wow.
You got to be joking. And that's when Uriel came at me very angrily. And he said, don't you ever give me an ultimatum like that. He said, you do not order us angels around.
So
And
what they did
so-
essentially was brought you to the total, from reading your book, you were brought to
Total surrender.
about the limit that any
absolutely.
human being could have to face.
Yeah, I mean, the trials
That's-
that you talk about in your book, I mean, it's an amazing journey.
That's the bottom
and you've
line,
come right
surrender.
down to a surrender.
Yeah, bottom
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
You know, when you're born a type A, it's not easy to become an A- or a B+.
Exactly.
With your
exactly.
energy.
And
Yeah.
I actually made a post. I took a quote out of Angelic Pathways and made a post last night on Facebook where I said the angels wanted me to be a certain person, and what they had to do is they had to break me into little bitty pieces and rebuild me. Was it fun?
Maybe that was really getting to your true self,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you came in with.
They had to get
without
to the-
those layers that we put on, we think we have to do to survive in the world.
And they had to break through and get to the core of what I was.
Your core essence. Yeah.
And get me to embrace and accept what I was, because accepting them is one thing, but then I had to also get to a point where I could trust myself as an intuitive, because when those messages come in, they have to come through our filters, our desires, and sometimes when I hear something, like, is that me? Is that my own voice? Is that which voice is that? Is that my ego, or is that my intuition?
Right,
And so as a medium, I think you can relate that anyone that does this type of work, we all have to get through those filters to get to
So
the messages.
you were saying, though, as a medium, you don't make predictions. Tell us about the work you do as an intuitive with the angels.
I'm not a medium that makes predictions, and I don't work with those who have passed on. I work strictly with the angels, unless Aunt Phyllis decides to elbow her way in during a reading. I've had
Sometimes
it happen.
that-
I've had it happen, and sometimes the angels will bring someone. And so I have to accept whatever the angels bring to me. So what I do is I give to the seeker the message that their angel has for them. We have two angels. Everything that I've written, aside from my the academic work that I've done, the research I've done, pretty much much of it has come from Archangel Gabriel. And so we have two angels that are with us. We have a mentoring angel and a parenting angel. I try to get people away from using the word guardian angel because we put too much of an emphasis on the word guardian. And that's why we see all of these medals of Michael and these necklaces with, oh, I've got my guardian angel, so I'm safe. And then a person gets in a car accident and wonders what happened. Well, if it's a part of your life script and it's a part of your destiny for you to be in an accident, Michael is hands off. He has to let it happen. But if it's your destiny to have that accident and walk away unscathed, Michael is going to make sure that's how it goes down. So for me, I work with the mentoring angel. That's the angel that's up front. That's the angel I see standing over everyone's shoulder. But that angel can change at the drop of a dime, because those angels switch in and out depending on the phase that you're in your life, depending on
Makes
what part of
sense.
your spiritual journey you're on. So you could come to me today and it may be Raphael because you may be going through a healing phase, but then I would see you a year later and I might see Archangel Michael, and that's a phase where you're learning to bolster your courage and become more assertive and learning how to draw your boundaries and draw lines. So the mentoring angel can switch out at any time, but your parenting angel, that's the one that is with you from birth until you leave this plane. And usually I don't work with the parenting angels that much, but the mentoring angels, those are the ones with the messages, and I tell everyone, your angels will tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. So that's where I stand as a medium. I'm just a telephone operator.
So the angel doesn't interfere in your karma. You have a certain
That's the
karmic
idea, yeah.
destiny.
Yeah, we have a
Absolutely.
destiny or script.
And
Yeah.
a script
Yeah.
that's already pre-written.
They're not going to mess with that.
No, they're
No.
not going to touch it.
They can't.
In fact, before, as I describe in Angelic Pathways, before you even come here, your parenting angel will help you write your script. And when Gabriel showed me my script, he showed it to me after I had the stroke, and I was in pretty bad shape at that time. And he said, "But you wrote this." And I gave him another choice word because I didn't believe him. And I tend to do that to the angels a lot. People say, "You do that?" I'm like, yeah, I treat them as like family. And so I went into meditation, or let me rephrase that. Gabriel dragged me into meditation, and took me to the point where he showed me an image or a vision of him with me writing out my script, and we were sitting on this beautiful, picturesque lawn, which is so not typical of me because I'm not an outdoors person, but I'll take it. I figure in heaven maybe I do like the outdoors, but but there was a time where Gabriel was looking at this large tome, and he said, "Chantel, do you realize how difficult this is going to be for you?" And the Chantel on the other side was like, I've done that before, I can handle it. See, on the other side, we realized that none of this is real.
Well, you're not connected. Yeah, and you're not connected in that physical body anymore. So
It's
you
temporary.
It's
illusion.
temporary, it's just a dream.
And you help
we
people
realized-
understand that with what you do. And I wanted to touch in with how people, the kind of work you do and when galleries you call them, and how people can access that information or go to one of your galleries.
Yeah,
Yes.
she needs to give us that info because we're
Yeah,
at the
'cause
end
we're
of
almost,
our show.
yeah, we're only got like a minute
Yeah.
or so left.
Well,
so.
actually, I do angel galleries, and I bring in usually 10 people at a time, random pick a name, and I just read blind for everyone, and then we do Q&A. And I do them in the Detroit area, so to get a date of all of my upcoming angel galleries, they could just go to my website at chantellysette.com.
Thank you so much for
It's
joining
very-
us.
I can't
believe it. It's
awesome.
been too
Yeah, we'll have you
fast.
back.
It went too
We'll have you
fast.
back.
God
Yeah.
bless
Thank
you.
you so
Yeah.
much.
Thanks for being here.
So we'd like to thank Chantel Lysette, author and angel person, and take a look at her books also on her website. We want to thank all of you for joining us on Out of the Ordinary into the Extraordinary. Don't forget.
Goddess is alive and magic is afoot.